This week, we honor the service and sacrifice of our citizens who faced the formidable Iraqi army 34 years ago during Operation Desert Storm. The conflict began on August 2, 1990, when Iraqi President Saddam Hussein ordered the invasion of Kuwait. In response, President Bush deployed American forces to the region. By January 1991, nearly 700,000 U.S. troops and 256,000 coalition forces were positioned to confront Iraq. My higher headquarters, the U.S. 7th Corps, based in Stuttgart, Germany, prepared for the worst, ordering 10,000 body bags in anticipation of high casualties. My regiment, the 2nd Armored Cavalry, was assigned the mission of leading the main attack against Saddam Hussein's elite Republican Guard. Back in Pennsylvania, a spontaneous prayer movement unfolded. 24 churches prayed for my squadron, and families displayed yellow ribbons as symbols of solidarity. These gestures were profoundly felt by those of us on the front lines. On January 16, 1991, the air campaign began. A relentless aerial bombardment lasting more than 1,000 hours devastated Iraqi forces in the Kuwait theater. Despite these early successes, there was a fear that Iraq would use chemical weapons against our ground forces. The prevailing winds typically blew southward from Iraq into Saudi Arabia, which meant that a chemical attack could easily spread toxins deep into American lines. Saddam's history of using chemical weapons against Iranians and his Kurdish people heightened these fears. The U.S.-led ground offensive was scheduled to begin on February 24, 1991, but my regiment's mission required us to cross into Iraq one day early. As our tanks rolled into enemy territory, I noticed dozens of dust devils swirling across the desert. It was then that something extraordinary happened. The prevailing winds, which had long been blowing south, suddenly shifted northward. This change made any use of chemical weapons by Saddam's forces a grave risk, as the toxins would blow back onto their own troops. Remarkably, the wind stayed this way until precisely 8 a.m. on February 28th, the moment the ceasefire took effect. In the 5 days that followed, U.S. and coalition forces advanced through southern Iraq and Kuwait. On February 26, 1991, the Battle of 73 Easting, a decisive engagement named for a north-south map line in the barren desert, occurred. The 2nd Armored Cavalry led the charge, confronting the Tawakalna Division of the Iraqi Republican Guard, along with elements of the 12th and 52nd Iraqi Armored Divisions. Known as the last great tank battle of the 20th century, this clash was pivotal in breaking the Iraqi defenses. During the battle, another extraordinary event occurred. A shamal, a powerful northwesterly wind, swept across the battlefield, creating a blinding sandstorm. While the storm disoriented our adversaries, it shielded our troops, allowing us to maintain the offensive. Within 100 hours, Kuwait was liberated and the war was over. The shamal and the shifting of the wind cannot be anything less than a miracle by God, answering the prayers of the citizens back home. This is what I witnessed firsthand. God hears our prayers. Yours truly, Senator Doug Mastriano, Ph.D., Colonel, U.S. Army, retired.